Welcome everybody to Extreme Power No Handling, and today we're dealing with a 1970 GMC Jimmy. So this now has 1,750 horsepower, which is, yeah, obviously a huge amount of power and way more power than it had originally, as it had only around 300 horsepower. And yeah, as per usual with other cars on this series, none of the brakes or suspension or tyres have been upgraded whatsoever. It's all bone stock. Even the gearbox is stock on this one, as the 4-speed gearbox is more than plenty capable of not only dealing with the power but also giving it a reasonable top speed. And yeah, so yeah, it does have the all-wheel drive system going for this though, which will hopefully keep the power in check, and it does weigh a fair bit at 4,095 pounds. So yeah, it's got a lot of weight to lug around as well, but there's no getting away from the fact that this isn't a car made for going around a track in a, you know, in a speedy manner, and certainly not meant for this amount of power either. So it's going to be a bit of a struggle, and obviously the suspension on this is quite soft, and yeah, it's hardly a low slung car either, and yeah, the centre of gravity is quite high as well. So yeah, but as you can see, it's also got 1,475 pounds-feet of torque with 7.4 litre twin turbocharged V8 engine. And yeah, the stats are pretty woeful in terms of the handling and braking, but the launch, acceleration and speed are fairly good. Irrelevantly, but it still kept its off-road capability as well. So yeah, not sure how this is going to perform really, because the only other all-wheel drive vehicle that we've had on this series has been the Ford Super Duty, which was also quite a heavy truck, but that also had the same amount of power and torque as this does, as it shared the same engine, but that was obviously a more modern vehicle, whereas this obviously is more 50 years old. But then again, that truck weighed about twice as much as this, and even though it's more modern, there was some quite archaic things to it, like the really rather small wheels with very little in the way of grip. So yeah, but it'd be interesting to see what it's going to do regardless. Not expected to fall over though, because even though it's quite soft and wallowy and obviously got a high centre of gravity, it's... we missed the check button there completely there, wasn't expecting that. Yeah, but it's also not got the amount of grip that it's really needed to, you know, grip roll over or anything like that. It's leaning quite heavily as you can see, but it's unlikely to roll over, as obviously this is quite a flat circuit, it's not real bumps to, you know, glance off of. So yeah, rolling over is unlikely. Just saying that right now, but it should be still fun to see what it can do in terms of speed. So we're going up to more than 130. Obviously the brakes are pretty shocking. Obviously we're dealing with way more acceleration and speed than we would normally in this car. So we've got the same kind of momentum to slow down, and also rainy conditions, which are not helpful. As you can see, once you get it in a straight line, it's pretty rapid, more than 150 there. You have to slam on the awful brakes to try and get it slowed down in time. That's a pretty quick time, 1 minute 20.155. Can't remember how quick the Super Duty was off memory, but that certainly didn't have a quick time like this did in its first lap. So it looked like we might well have a new quick leader. Not that we are, you know, really wholly interested in the times. That's more of a bonus aspect. We're just more interested in how cars perform, what happens when you give them this kind of power. And outside of that spin out there, this is mostly doing well. It's got a fair bit of understeer. See, once you get out on the straight, this is pretty quick, which I think is where it's making up a lot of its time. Obviously its brakes are pretty shocking, it's not particularly sophisticated getting around a corner, it's more of a slide round and hope it comes back and you're able to carry on. So yeah, not as quick that time because of that spin out, so let's see if this third and final lap will give us a time. If we get below 1 minute 20. Yeah, there's loads of understeer in this. Doubt the diff is splitting the power in a good manner. It's no doubt just 50-50 bang on, so that alone would be more power than what we had going for the car generally in its stock form. About 400 horsepower thereabouts, so yeah, it's proper sliding and slipping around this. I do wish we had more old trucks like this though, from America. I know we have the Ford Bronco and the International Scout, and even a couple of Land Rovers, but that's about it. When you consider how many there were back in the day, that's not very many. Come on. Ooh, glancing off the wall. But a pretty quick time there, about 4 seconds quicker than our quickest the first lap. So let's see how quick we were. 1 minute 16.059. Now that is about nearly 9 seconds quicker than the Ford Super Duty, which was our fastest car, I believe. No, the DeLorean was our fastest car, but even that only managed a time of 1 minute 19.596. So yeah, pure brute force has ruled the day with this, because it wasn't particularly great in the corners. As you saw, it was sliding around all over the place. We even span out at one point. The brakes weren't particularly great either, so we had to brake quite early in some of the corners. But the sheer amount of power and the fact it doesn't weigh that much in comparison to, say, the Ford Super Duty, which shared the same engine swap as this, means that, yeah, it was pretty rapid in a straight line. In fact, its acceleration times pretty much sum that up, as it can do 0 to 60 in 3.501 seconds and 0 to 106.076 seconds. And given in a long enough straight, it will get up to 212 miles an hour, even though it only has a 4-speed gearbox. So, yeah, those acceleration times are really what ruled the day, because that's even quicker than the DeLorean managed. And yeah, the acceleration is pretty much the same as the Ford Super Duty, but ever so slightly ahead. So yeah, that overall just ultimately ruled the day, really. So yeah, I'm really pleased with how well that's done, because it's one of my favourite cars on this game. It's one of my favourite new additions to the Forza series, and yeah, I'm glad that it at least managed to be quick, even if it wasn't wholly sophisticated in its execution. Nonetheless, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.